they felt the reason you guys were able to be so successful was the prep leading in. They were prepared for the game. Is that something that's been the case before this game? Was that different leading into this game?
I think we had a very good understanding of what we needed to do. It was not a complex. Dan and I were just talking about it. Wasn't real difficult to understand what we were attempting to do. Tomorrow night's game is completely different. So, we spent yesterday and this morning in film getting ready to go to practice of what we need to do and how we need to do it. But, I saw our guys during the game thinking what they needed to do, and that to me is a big step in the right direction.
You mentioned tomorrow's game's completely different. What do you mean by that? I mean, just 'cause it's not as big of magnitude of a game?
No. From what Kentucky did offensively to what Mercer does offensively, and defensively. Mercer's a lot more execution oriented, where Kentucky wanted to drive. Well, these guys are going to be screening, cutting, that sort of thing. So, as we've shown our guys. We've guarded all the actions. They run a ton of set plays, and we got to lock in and have a great understanding of what we need to do every possession.
How big of a challenge is that to transition so quickly for a young team?
We're going to find out, but it's part of what we have to do. I think that's as you go into getting ready to go into the Big Ten season, I mean, that's, no two teams are alike. And so shifting gears and looking at film and doing all those things is just as important as practice.
I wanted to ask you about the defense Saturday, because obviously 9 of 18 from 3 is great, and the balance was really good, but they looked, I don't know, it looked like you were balanced defensively in that guys were making steals, making blocks, denying plays, but not overreaching, not fouling too much. And right. I'm just wondering where that came from, because we hadn't seen that kind of discipline to that point of the season. Was that just stressed and it finally clicked
it
in?
Was, yeah. I mean, from the 2 practices we had leading in, and it was very personnel based, and we just kept reviewing personnel and trying to get our guys to understand the best that they could what they were trying to do, in the post, what shoulders, where we were coming from on the digs, those types of things. And when we didn't execute it, they scored. And but I think from that perspective, guys were definitely locked into what we were attempting to do.
How pleasing was that? I mean, because that's what Ohio State basketball is supposed to be, right? It's not always easy to achieve, of course, but right. I'm sure you've been striving for that.
Yeah, I mean, that was, in the timeouts, we just kept saying game plan, just stay with what we're doing, and one of the biggest things was taking care of the basketball, which I thought we did a really good job of, because, as great teams do, they can score off of your offense, and I thought we were very effective in terms of our timing and spacing and what we were trying to get out of offense, and then making shots definitely helps.
Coach, was this the team you envisioned from the outset, or at some points in the game where you're like, who is this team?
I think that as I told the guys afterwards, I said, in my thoughts outside of this building, this is kind of what I would like to see. This is the type of effort and energy that we played with. But I thought everybody was connected in terms of what we were trying to get. The bench was tremendous. We've struggled at times when we've subbed early on in a game, and teams have made run on us. But I thought Daniel was terrific. Cam, AJ, those guys did a great job of understanding what they needed to do, and they did it effectively.
Doesn't it change the forecast for maybe it's just among the fans, maybe you, but to be 5-5 and then beat Kentucky, and then doesn't it, is there too much, am I making too much of, I mean, it seems historic to me. You hadn't beat them since '87.
Right.
It seemed like a pretty good feather in the cap.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this team needed something positive because they have worked hard. But with that said, I think that, we've got to go back out tomorrow night and play again. And, as I told our guys, from the Saturday at UConn to, from Northern Illinois to Kentucky, we've gotten better. Because we've been known to take some steps backwards, and hopefully we can continue moving forward. I thought we handled situations in adverse situations better than we have all season long, because this team. You look at some of the games we've played this year, and one mistake has led to another mistake to another mistake. And I thought we did a good job when we kind of hit a slow spurt scoring late in the first half. But our guys kept defending. They kept defending, and those are the things you hope you can build off of.
Do you think the magnitude of the game also, players alluded to that, not that it scared them into a great effort?
Yeah.
Maybe it was your 2 days of great coaching. But you don't show up there and you look, you get embarrassed on a national stage.
Right. Well, there's no question. I think that's, you look at that event, you go out there and you've got North Carolina, UCLA, Kentucky, Ohio State on the floor, and that day is probably, to this point of the college basketball season, the primary or the biggest day of college basketball thus far, and I think our guys accepted that and knew that there was a tremendous challenge, and I thought that for me that was something that I wanted to see is us finally face a challenge head on and do everything we can to win the game.
Personally, for you, what did it mean to you to beat them?
I'll be honest, it was big because I've the one thing I thought about going into the game was, a few years ago when Brandon Knight hit that shot on us, and we had the best team in college basketball that year, and I felt like we had a chance to, in New Jersey. Yeah, that we had a chance to win the national championship with that team, and so that one, I was walking off the floor thinking about those guys and what that locker room was like, as opposed to what it was going to be like when I got in there on Saturday.
Hey, Ted, you've talked a lot about the difference between Jaquan and AJ's game at the point guard and how they're kind of two completely different players, and both were effective in their own right on Saturday. Are you, as a coach, still learning and adapting to who you want to go with in certain situations, and kind of maybe how they're performing and how you want to run your offense against certain teams?
Yeah, I thought both guys were very effective on Saturday, and they were, and they were the antithesis of each other on Saturday, just in terms of, Jaquan played slower and more physical, and AJ played faster, which was a great equalizer, I think, in terms of keeping Kentucky sort of off balance. But I thought both guys handled the situations really, really well. AJ, we've been trying to get him to have that burst of speed, but then back out, and he did that to a T. He made a great read late in the game where he saw a loaded side. He just cut through, and Mark got a drive off of it. Those are the things that we've been looking for.
Played most of the minutes of that position. Is this a case maybe where less, maybe more for Jaquan, and more, maybe more for AJ to get maybe a little bit better 40 minutes out of both of them? Yeah,
it's funny because AJ, has been out for about a week and a half from practice and that sort of thing. But, Jaquan, started the second half was literally exhausted. And we got him out, and AJ came in and gave us a really, really good boost. And, so like I said, I think that, I was happy to see the focus and the concentration Jaquan played with. And I thought he was very dialed in to what we were doing on both ends of the floor.
I'll add one about the center tandem. Those guys didn't get a whole lot done against Connecticut, and really came and played really well against Kentucky, it seemed, and the hustle play that Giddens had, and Thompson with his defense and everything. Just what did you get out of those guys maybe in this game that you're hoping to see going forward?
Yeah, well, I thought that both guys were tremendous in the game. Trevor defensively was as active as I've ever seen him, and 5 blocks, and I had him for 7, but the officials didn't. But I thought that Daniel came in and just the play you referenced. He had done, before he dove on the floor, he had done an incredible job of helping on Murray and getting back. They threw it to his man, he walled him up, and AJ hit it out. But they both guys finished around the basket. I thought Daniel was very patient and poised in the post, and had some really nice moves down there. So that builds the trust of the inside-outside game that we've been striving for.
Last 2 days before the game, you lose a player with Austin transferring out. You gain a player with Mickey getting his eligibility. How did you see that, if at all, affect the guys when you're dealing with a tight locker room and a small roster? How did you see that impact the guys?
Well, I think from the standpoint of getting Mickey back is huge. I mean, Mickey is just the dynamics on the bench was him being there. Our players were when he got to the hotel Friday night. Very excited for Mickey, so it probably covered up some of the loss with Austin's departure, but it was you go from down to up, and now we just got to get Mickey where we can work him in and get him some game experience. Saturday wasn't the day to probably do that, but with him coming back, hopefully we're going to be able to give Jay Sean, Mark, and Kata some more rest that they need and deserve.
We're thinking about Austin. Did you have any idea that he was apparently unhappy? I mean, I know he had said that he talked to you guys after the game the other night, and I mean, did you guys have any conversations leading up to that about?
No, not really. But in today's day and age with college basketball, the transferring is it is what it is, and so you're constantly thinking in terms of what could happen. But hate to see it, but understand it.
With the number of scholarships that you get, you really can't afford to have a miss. And to see a kid be here 3 months and walk out, and kind of leaves you guys a little bit in a lurch. I mean, because a lot of the 2016s have already made decisions and whatever. What can you do in the next 7 months to fill that gap, I guess? What's your immediate thought on that?
I think that you've got to take a look at, like, for instance, I think Cameron Williams said, "Oh, this is more for me," and took great advantage of it. I thought Cameron played as well. He's not looking over his shoulder anymore, so hopefully he continues to rise and play at the level we need him to. But like I said, nowadays with the way things are happening, you never know. I mean, it's a crazy deal in terms of what guys are thinking and the people around them are thinking.
You talked about Mercer a little bit in terms of their differing from Kentucky, but what have you seen from them? What should we expect tomorrow night?
Well, as I said, they probably execute offensively as well as any team that I've seen this year. Defensively, they're going to change it up. They'll play man, zone. They've historically in the past, you run an action, they go from man to zone. They're constantly trying to take you out of your rhythm, and for us, we've got to have great patience and understanding of what we're going against.
Okay. Do you expect Mickey to play tomorrow?
I think
Is he good?
Yeah, he's good to go. Yeah, yep. Yeah, everything is good to go. Hopefully, like I said, we can get him in there and get him some game experience. It's just, the scrimmage at the beginning of the year and the exhibition game for freshmen those things are huge, and unfortunately, he just hasn't had the opportunity to do that. But hopefully, we can.
To clarify, is this considered, in their mind, the NCAA, he set out the number of games he was supposed to sit out for whatever this was, or it just took them that long to figure it out?
It just took him that long to figure it out. Yeah.
So he's free and clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, free Mickey. Yeah.